Jeremy Corbyn! Oh, Jeremy Corbyn! Oh, Jeremy Corbyn! Oh, Jeremy Corbyn! Sisters and brothers, comrades and friends, I haven't been able to wipe the smile off my face since the 8th of June. What a fantastic campaign by Jeremy to take us on the brink of government. And what a vindication for all of us who supported Jeremy. And I'm proud of the role that I and my Union Unite played. Proud that we stood firm despite the vicious attacks against us. Proud that we defended Labour Party democracy. And proud that we stood shoulder to shoulder with a decent, honest man, a passionate man, prepared to fight for our class and our values. And comrades, how fitting it is that Jeremy should be here in Durham to be greeted by such a crowd. I've been to many miners' galas over the years, but this has been the biggest, the loudest and the proudest one I've ever seen. Just like I've never seen rallies like those for Jeremy Corbyn during the election campaign. It's extraordinary. It demonstrates the enthusiasm of our movement that is built for Jeremy's vision, and enthusiasm that must continue if we are to bring down the Tories. That's why I'm incredibly honoured to be sharing a platform here today with our Prime Minister in waiting, Jeremy Corbyn. And comrades, let me say how delighted I am also to share a platform with the new chair of the Labour Party, Ian Lavery. The chair of a Labour Party who's a socialist. Now there's a change. And to say to everyone here who helped to fight such a remarkable, courageous campaign and who helped turn Labour fortunes around in such spectacular a fashion, propelling our Labour Party to the brink of power. Of course, there's someone who's missing from the States today who's already been mentioned. He would have been delighted and humbled by the turnout. And I want to pay my personal homage to Davy Hopper, my friend, a giant of our movement, lost to us just a year ago. He was so deeply rooted in this great mining community and is hugely missed this weekend. But as Joe said, Davy's spirit and solidarity lives on in this gala. Davy brought passion and grit to the fight to improve lives of working people for whom hope is something desperately needed now. Under Jeremy's leadership, Labour now gives that hope. New voters are turning to Labour, a generation written off as not interested in politics, inspired to find their voice through their vote. Parents who are fed up working hard but getting nowhere. The teachers, nurses, police staff and firefighters. The people who go more than the extra mile for us but who have too little money at the end of the month. And just everyday voters whose stomachs are turned by a Tory party that has bought its survival with taxpayers' money. And comrades, what a slap in the face for the merchants of doom, who have continually told us that you cannot get the British electorate to vote for a radical programme. They told us that Labour's left-wing manifesto would bury us. They threw every smear they could from their gutters at our leader. And where did it get them? Nowhere. Because voters aren't stupid. They can see what the Labour manifesto meant. They can see it for themselves. It offers belief and optimism. It showed that another way is possible. And the only thing buried by our manifesto was Theresa May's majority. You know, Labour's manifesto has achieved something quite extraordinary. And I don't say this tongue-in-cheek. It has united the party more than it's been for years. Just think of how much has changed since 2015. Going into the election, we had a pro-austerity shadow chancellor and a leader dithering around austerity light. The country didn't know what Labour stood for, who it stood for, so it rejected Labour. Jeremy was elected promising to make our party true Labour again, despite the conniving by those who tried to knife him in the back and break him. Jeremy stayed strong. He and his team pulled our party together. Labour became unequivocally anti-austerity, and everyone in the PLP is now anti-austerity. They produced a fantastic new vision for our country. They gave the people the chance to believe that another world really is possible. Jeremy, you and our Labour Party are the very definition of strong and stable and decent government that this country hungers for. Comrades, credit goes to Jeremy's team as well. They themselves subject to vile and vicious attacks, who pulled together a fantastic manifesto which has captured the imagination of millions of people. Renationalising our NHS, public ownership of our railways and the post office, £10 minimum wage, 0 hours, abolished agency labour and bogus self-employment dealt with, a British investment bank, regenerating manufacturing, regional investment banks to regenerate our regions. I could go on and on and on. It was like a Christmas tree. There was a present on it for everybody. Everyone now in the PLP supports the programme, and they need to continue to give that support. So no more self-indulgent jaunts like Chuka Amuna and his merry band, seeking to return to their old undermining ways. Let me say something to them. The massive increases in your majorities, in your constituencies, weren't down to your own personal charisma. It was down to the Corbyn bounce and the manifesto, and you should respect that. Labour's share of the vote was more than any other leader in any other election since Attlee in 45. We're the biggest socialist party in Europe, and we need to maintain the momentum. And I use the word momentum deliberately. Contrary to those who seek to demonise members of momentum, I welcome them as a breath of fresh air, seeking the change needed to create a better Britain. You know, that was the problem with New Labour. It never challenged the structures of wealth and power in this country. 9 years on, since the financial collapse, they have no answers, no vision to deal with the inequality in our society. And we can say without equivocation and very loud and clear, Blairism is finally dead. And with our new version and our new vision, Labour is just one more heave away from office. Jeremy has won the hearts and minds of millions of people tired of austerity. In these weeks since the election, there has been a real sense that fights against the cuts can succeed. The anger at the Tories' refusal to lift the pay freeze is palpable. It spilled out onto the streets of London last Saturday in that fantastic rally, Not One More Day. The people they refuse to give a few pounds more to are the nurses, doctors, paramedics, police support staff and other emergency service workers. Those workers ran towards danger to save the lives of those targeted in the horrific terrorist attacks at Westminster, Manchester, London Bridge and Finsbury Park, while others fled in fear of their lives. I have nothing but praise and admiration for them. And the firefighters with a magnificent leader like Matt Rack, fearless in the face of danger, who ran in and fought the fire at Grenfell. How dare Theresa May and her bung parliament insult the heroism and dedication of those who tried to save those lives, denying them a few quid more in their wage packets? How dare the Tories ever again praise our emergency heroes, or look in the eye the people who teach our children, clean our streets or tend our sick? They are an affront to the values of this country. We're told it's finally dawning on those thieving Tories that people are weary of austerity, because that's what austerity is. It's theft. Yet still they claim there's no money for sprinklers in towers, no money for schools, no money for RHS, while bunging £1 million, and that's for starters, to the DUP in order to cling on to power. Now, don't get me wrong, comrades, Unite is the biggest union in Northern Ireland. I'm pleased for the workers there that there's going to be more money for their communities and services. But if they can find money to invest in Northern Ireland, it must be found for all of our regions. You know, £1 billion would go a long way to help regenerate the North East and the industries that are needed here. Tory politics exposes the sickening hypocrisy of this squalid and shaky government, because the deepest hurt from the cuts they are making in working class communities is yet to be felt. Our kids will feel the pain in their classrooms. Our sick will feel when they wait too long to be treated and tended in our struggling NHS. Our friends and neighbours feel it when their wallet and purses are empty and the cupboard is bare. Resentment at what the Tories do to cling on to power can only grow. Day by day, revulsion will deepen. This shameless government cannot last. It does not deserve to last. They've showed us exactly what this government means for working people. There's no shortage of cash for bribes in return for votes. But when you need it, nothing falls from Theresa's magic money tree. She won't even bother to try and shake it for you. And while grubby Tory deals are forged, the working class again have to fight for their own justice. As has already been said, 20 years on, finally justice was done over Hillsborough. We're going to have to do it all over again at Grenfell, at Orgreave and other injustices. We demand that the inquiry into Grenfell is open and broad and genuinely independent. Only then can we trust light will shine on what really happened in the atrocity of that tower. A Tory council awash with reserves to bribe rich voters, unable or unwilling to protect working class people in their homes, incapable of accepting responsibility for the terrible loss of life, inept when it came to organising any relief efforts. Kensington Council, a Tory council, the UK's richest, is a symbol for all that is rotten in Tory Britain. And comrades, let's not forget the 72 Tory landlord MPs who voted down the Labour bill that would have forced private landlords to make their homes fit for human habitation. Shame on you, I say, shame on you. Labour has told the truth about the price we pay for cuts, because austerity kills. In the words of the poet Ben Okri, in this age of austerity, the poor die for others' prosperity. Grenfell stands as a symbol of Tory Britain, profit and greed before people. So I agree with John MacDonald. The residents who died in Grenfell Tower were murdered by years of local authority cuts, by corporate greed, and by uncaring capitalism. Comrades, I want to finish on this. We live in extraordinary times, but the one thing that will never change, and Angela was right, the Tories believe that they are entitled to rule us, that they are the natural party of government. They will fight the next election with more ruthlessness and brutality than ever before. We must be ready for them. We must keep our focus laser trained on victory. We must maintain the momentum we've built up. We must stay 100% behind Jeremy and his government in waiting. We must continue to give hope that a better Britain really is possible. Above all, we must stay united. Because the sooner the Tories are gone, the sooner Labour can get on with restoring dignity, decency and economic sanity in this country. This, comrades, is our time now. It's time for a government of the people. It's time for the £10 an hour basic wage. It's time for homes to be built and to be fit for humans. It's time to take back control of our public services, our transport and our NHS. It's time the greedy bastards paid their taxes. It's time for our children to feel hope again. It's time to put people before profit. It's time for Labour. It's time for the many, not the few. Thank you, comrades.